Hi everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel, Glam By Sam. For today's video, we are going to be doing a review of the new NATASHA DENONA Mini Crush eyeshadow palette. This is a Valentine's Day exclusive from NATASHA DENONA, and I'm not sure if it has officially launched anywhere else than Europe yet. This has been available in Sephora in Europe for the past couple of days now, so I really wanted to pick it up to try it out with you guys on camera, because usually we always get like things later than people in the United States, but this gives me a nice opportunity to get my review up quite soon. So today I'm sharing my thoughts on the NATASHA DENONA Mini Crush eyeshadow palette. So if you want to see what I think of it and how I created this look, then please keep watching. So like I said, this is the NATASHA DENONA Crush palette. And this comes in a little kit with an eyeshadow brush. It says Mini Crush eyeshadow palette and eyeshadow brush gift. Now, one thing I was kind of surprised by is this is sort of like the same style as the Mini Metropolis that launched for the holidays of 2021, but that palette was more affordable than this one. I think that retailed for 25 euros, which is the same price as her other mini palettes, but this retails for 28 euros and 95 cents. So let's say 29 euros. So you're basically paying €4 more, and I wonder if she's just going to increase the prices of her mini palettes in general, or that this kit is just more expensive because it comes with the eyeshadow brush. So of course the star of the show is the Mini Crush eyeshadow palette, and that is this little palette right here. So let me show you what it looks like. So this is what the eyeshadow palette looks like. It comes with 5 different shades, and we're getting 3 mattes and then 2 shimmer shades, which I think is a really nice division. So the shades in here are the following. First we have the shade Claret, which is the 274 metallic. Then we have Soul, which is the 297 creamy matte. We have Koi, the middle one right here. This is the 187 creamy matte. We have Lotus. That is the 185 creamy matte, and the last shade we have here is called Daisy, and I think that stands for creamy crystal. Now, one thing people were telling me when I posted photos about this on my Instagram was that this palette contains 4 shades out of available NATASHA DENONA palettes. Hi everyone, Editing Sam here. When I was filming this video, I couldn't really quickly find which shade belonged to which existing palette, so I looked it up, and it turns out that the shade Daisy is in the Cranberry palette, the shade Lotus is in the Safari palette, the shade Soul is in the Midi Love palette, and then the shade Claret is in the Metropolis palette. And the middle shade called Koi is a new shade. So right off the bat, I want to say if you collect NATASHA DENONA eyeshadow palettes and you own all of these ones, then you definitely don't need this palette. But I personally, from those palettes I just mentioned, I only have the Love palette, so I own one of the shades in here, but that's not that big of a deal to me. I really liked the color story of this and like the Valentine's Day theme, so that is why I wanted to get this. So here are the swatches of the shades. As you can see, they did swatch beautifully, and I'm excited to try these on my eyes. So also some information, this palette is made in Italy, as I believe all of her eyeshadow palettes, and it has a 24-month shelf life, which is pretty nice. So I think now that we know all that information, we should just get started with the tutorial and see how I created this look and what my thoughts on it are. So right here I have the NATASHA DENONA Mini Crush eyeshadow palette, and we're going to be doing the eyeshadow look right now. I'm excited to try this out and see which type of look we can create with this. I think we'll be able to use like 4 out of the shades in here. I'm not sure if we'll be able to use all of them. Kind of depends like where the look is going once we get to applying it. So of course I am going to be using the little mini eyeshadow brush that came with the palette. I want to see if I can use this for as many shades as possible, because I want to see if this is really worth the extra value you're getting, because like I said, these little palettes are 25 euros usually, and this set is 29, so you're basically paying 4 euros for this brush. So I want to see if it's worth it. If it is worth it, I don't mind paying like 4 euros for an eyeshadow brush. It's still like a nice price if it works nice, but yeah, let's just try it out. Like also immediately one downside to this palette, it does not have a mirror, but that is with all these like NATASHA DENONA mini palettes, none of them have a mirror. To me, that's kind of annoying because I've talked about this before, but basically my vanity is behind me, and I know like most YouTubers have like a fancy desk in front of them, which I don't because my room is pretty small, so I always have to like grab like a bronzer or something to have a mirror. So that is why I really like it if a palette has a mirror. But yeah, this one doesn't. It's not like the biggest deal, but it would have been nice if it came with a mirror. So the first shade we're going to be using is the lightest one in here. This one is called Lotus, and this is the creamy matte. And I'm going to be applying this all over my lid with this eyeshadow brush. So that is what this shade is looking like on the brush, and now let's apply it to the lid. Yeah, this is definitely a light dusty pink. I think this is a really pretty shade. It is applying nicely, and I'm just going to apply some more over the entire lid. Of course, doing the same thing on the other eye. And the brush is feeling really nice. It is really quite soft. I feel like it's definitely applying nicely. So now I'm going to be taking this shade right here, which is Soul, and this is also the creamy matte, and I'm going to be using the same brush and apply this shade in the crease. And I actually know this shade because it is in my Love palette. I don't use that palette like too much, but I remember this shade from it. I think it's one of the ones that I quite like. And because I have quite hooded eyes, I really like to apply the shade a little bit higher than my actual crease. So as you can see, this is quite a pink shade. It is a little bit deeper than the previous one, but I really like it. It's blending out quite nicely, and I feel like it does look very pretty. Now I'm going to be taking a different brush, which is this one, and I'm going to be applying the deepest shade, the purple, on the outer corners of the eye, and sort of like blending it into the crease as well. I would say this deepest shade is like a little bit more patchy than the rest, but I think it's still workable. So I'm just going to do the same thing on the other eye and then blend it out a little bit. So now I'm taking the small brush again, which has a little bit left from the shade Soul on there, and I'm going to be blending this out. So I have the eye look on my eye right now, and before I'm going to do the half cut crease, I just wanted to mention that I'm a little disappointed by the purple shade, which is this one in the middle called Koi, and Koi is a creamy matte, so I was expecting it to work the same way as the other creamy mattes, but I find this shade to be quite patchy, and you can probably tell on my eyes. I really normally don't struggle with patchy eyeshadows. I know how to blend eyeshadows, and usually they work fine. Like most of my other NATASHA Denona eyeshadows just blend nicely, but this one turned out a little bit patchy, which I'm kind of sad about because this is the only new shade in the palette, like I said in the intro. So for that shade to be like disappointing, that's just kind of sad to me. Like if you have the other NATASHA Denona palettes and you are buying this palette specifically for that middle shade, which I don't know if anyone would, but if you would buy that for this middle shade, then it's disappointed if that one doesn't work out the way you would hope it would. So I don't know if it's just my eyelids. I do have quite oily eyelids, but like I said, I never really struggle with patchy eyeshadow. So I think for now I'm not the biggest fan of this, but of course I have to keep playing with this. And right now off camera, I'm going to be doing a half cut crease, and then I'll be back to apply the shimmer, and hopefully that can save the eye look a little bit. So off camera, I just did a half cut crease, applied the lightest shade in here on the entire like concealer base as a base for the metallic shadow, and then I put some of the darker shades like on the outer corner. And really, especially this eye, I'm just noticing how patchy that purple shade is. So I don't know if this is really going to be a shade I'm going to be reaching for a lot. Maybe I just need to play with it a little bit more, but right now I'm not the biggest fan of it. But let's apply the shimmer. I'm going to be using this one, and I'm going to be using my finger to apply that on the like concealer base that we just applied. And this feels a lot creamier than I was expecting. Can you guys see that? So this shade is very different than I was expecting. I was expecting sort of like a glittery topper, but it's actually quite creamy. So I'm going to apply a little bit with my brush. So I'm just taking a little bit on this Sigma E54 brush and just applying it with that to see how that is applying, because like I said, I was expecting more of a topper, and topper shades I prefer to apply with my fingers, but this one is actually applying really nicely with the brush, and this is just making the look very, very purple, which I really like. There's also like only a tiny bit of fallout, which is quite surprising. I was expecting a lot of fallout. I definitely feel like this shimmer has sort of like saved the look a little bit. So now off camera, I'm just going to apply some lashes, do my brows, and then I'll be back for my final thoughts on this NATASHA DENONA Mini Crush palette. So then for my final thoughts, I am not the biggest fan of this palette because of the purple being a bit more patchy. However, I do want to keep playing with this palette because I really love the color story, and now that I'm looking at the finished look, I really like how it turned out. I would have loved if the purple shade called Koi worked a little bit better and a little bit more smoothly and wasn't so patchy, but I don't feel like I wasted my money on this because I feel like the other shades I am going to be using. So for me, I don't think this is like a waste of my money, but keep that in mind if you are planning on buying this. If you really want to buy this for the purple shade, then keep in mind it might not work the best. Okay everyone, and this is it for my video on the NATASHA DENONA Mini Crush eyeshadow palette. I really hope this video was helpful for you, and I would love to know in the comment sections if you are planning on picking up this palette. Also, if you did enjoy this video, then I would absolutely love it if you gave it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you don't want to miss any of my videos. All of these things would help me so much with my channel, and I'd really appreciate it. But with that said, and to thank you guys all so much for watching, I really hope you have an amazing day, and I really hope to see you in my next video. Bye!